Want to swing the club with what seems like effortless power? Of course we all do. In this video, we're going to have a look at a player who you're probably all familiar with, Fred Couples, because he sort of epitomizes this look of grace and rhythm and balance and not too much effort going into the swing. So whether you're a junior golfer, a senior golfer, male or female golfer, let's have a look at some of the principles that you can do, that you can incorporate into your golf to help you hit the ball better, further, and also put less stress on your body. He's definitely swinging the club a little bit shorter because, let's face it, he's not 20 anymore. But the hallmarks that make his swing great are still there. So they're the things that we're going to focus on. Hi, I'm Peter Knight, and I've created this channel, Peter Knight Golf, to help you play the best golf you can. Today we're going to have a look at 3 principles from Fred Couples' swing that you can incorporate into your own game. So 3 things we're going to focus on. The first of them is the path that the club is swung on, and we'll see with Fred Couples' swing how he swings a club a little unusually in that his hands are very high at the top of the backswing, but the key thing is that how the club moves in the downswing, and we'll see that it's absolutely perfect. We'll chat about that. The second thing is we see this look of really effortless power. It looks like he's doing nothing through impact. And we'll have a look and see why that is and how you can copy the same. And the final thing is that his body motion also looks quiet. And so that is to do with the timing of the body motion with the arms and the club. So let's go through these things one at a time. The first thing that we notice is when he swings the club back to the top of the swing, hands are really quite high, elbow lifts a little bit, but then the key thing as the club swings down is from here, the arms will work back down so the club will move on a much... So if I imagine I've got a line running from the ball through my sternum, when I swing the club back, my hands start off underneath that line. When I swing to the end of the backswing, my hands are above that line. So they're probably about 10 centimeters or 4 inches or 5 inches underneath the line to start with. When I get to the end of the backswing, they're about 20 centimeters or about, maybe 8 inches or something like that above it. With Fred Couples' swing, he swings back and his hands are higher, as you can see in the recording of his swing. The key thing in the downswing is that we move the club down. So again, going back to imagining that line running through the sternum, the club is tracking on that line all the way down and through impact. Now, even though he swings a club with his hands higher than that, he'll get the hands to swing down more on that line as the club's swinging through. So let's see if we can do that. So I get that club moving on the correct path down and through impact. It'll move through, stay on plane, which is on plane if you like. We'll call that line our functional swing plane, and we're getting the club to swing through on that. Now we're looking to do that with every single club. Doesn't matter whether I'm hitting a little chip shot or a drive. The angle of that line will change, but the idea won't. So point number 2 is when he strikes the ball, we see this movement that doesn't look very strong, but still in his early 60s, same as me, he is able to gain some good club head speed. Now the reason for that is he's extremely efficient with this whole idea of momentum transfer. So what do I mean by that? In my downswing, my arms are accelerating from the top of my backswing to around about this point here. Now from about this point here, the club is still trailing my arm. Now my arms will slow as the club catches up. And in fact, the club catching up to swing into line with my arms is what causes my arms and my hands to slow down. Now I need that to occur very, very efficiently. I don't want to try and override that by sustaining an arm speed. I want to allow that club to catch up and then pass my hands. Now as we watch Freddie swing through impact, notice how much his hands look like they nearly stop and that club catches up and swings through. Now when you're watching that swing at normal speed, you won't see that effect anything like the same extent because the whole motion takes so much less time. From the top of his swing to impact is around about 1/4 of a second. So there's a lot going on with an acceleration phase with the arms in the downswing, and then a deceleration phase which transfers that momentum. It looks like his hands are doing a lot of work. Mostly it's the movement of the club that's acting on his hands and causing the arms to rotate. So he's allowing all that movement to occur rather than trying to force that movement to occur. So that's really, really key. So in practicing that, if I move my club towards the ground at this point here, I'm going to deliberately switch off and allow that club to catch up and pass my hands. And you notice I'm doing a little bit of work down to about here, then I switch off. Now, because all that momentum's transferred toward the ground, and if I'm hitting a ball, it's toward the ground and the ball, when I go through, because I'm not generating a lot of speed through here, I've run out of momentum through here, so my swing finishes here. When I make a bigger swing with more momentum, I'm doing exactly the same thing. The difference though is that my club has much more speed on it. So as it swings through, it's now taking my arms and my body a lot further, so I've got what looks to be a normal follow through. So it's the club's motion that's followed me through or made me follow through. So that's point number 2. Point number 3, which is sort of related to point number 2, is this idea of momentum transfer again. If we think of the different components of the swing, lower body, upper body, arms and club, and we look at how they're moving. So if again, we sort of think with this idea of momentum transfer, if my arms have to slow to transfer momentum to the club so it can swing through, my upper body has to slow to transfer momentum to my arms. My lower body has to slow in order to transfer momentum to my upper body, which is then to my arms and the club. So that means that in this very short space of time, when I get down to, approaching impact here, or approaching what we'll call release point, and I'll talk about that in a moment, my hips are going to move very, very slowly from there because momentum's already transferring. So if I'm making any attempt to try and clear my hips, I'm going to really mess with that timing. So when I swing the club down, once I get down to about here somewhere, quite close to impact, my hips have already turned beyond being square. Now from here, they're not going to turn very much as the club swings through. After that, the momentum of the club, which I mentioned before, carries me to my follow through, also continues my hip turn. So if we watch Freddie swing, as he moves through impact, watch how his hips slow down to allow that momentum to transfer. When that motion's occurring correctly, it looks very, very effortless because there is zero challenge to his balance. He hasn't tried to rotate his hips or clear his hips out of the way. It just happens early. His hips have turned sufficiently prior to impact so that they can then slow down to allow that momentum to transfer. I mentioned about release a moment ago. So think of release as being the point in the swing where the difference in speed between the arms and the club is greatest. So I'm swinging the club down. When I start my downswing, my arms and the club are moving at about the same pace. As I swing down, the angle between my left arm and my wrist is beginning to open up. That's mostly because my body's rotating. But then when I get down to here and my arms begin to slow, then the club really begins to gain speed. Now the club's got so much momentum, so much more speed than my arms, that it'll catch up and pass my hands. So that difference in the speed is what I feel is release. So I'm not actually releasing the club deliberately with my hands, it's catching up. So now if we look to put all this together, let's see if I can allow that momentum to transfer to the club nice and efficiently, and my hips are not going to spin through too hard as I swing through. And again, because there's no forced movement there, I'm going to be able to allow that momentum to transfer correctly. If you want to find out a little bit more about what we're trying to achieve when the club does strike the ball through all of this momentum transfer, click the link in the pinned description note or in the description to have a look at what we're looking to do, the free set of videos that I can provide for you to allow you to then understand what is actually happening at impact. If you're looking to create a movement that's as free as fluid and looks as effortless as what Fred Couples' swing does, then take note of these 3 principles that I've shown you in this video, practice them, and I can't guarantee you'll play golf like Fred Couples, but you might feel a lot more like it, and you might feel more balanced, and you might find you'll be surprised at how much speed and how much distance you're able to gain just by moving more correctly with these principles.